make that S shape, which we're going to do in a second, okay? So I'm going to go over to her, and we're going to go over and now to pose her. Now, really, really important, kids. If you notice, the lighting is on this side, okay? You never, in my opinion, ever want the model to be her body in the same area. You always want to turn the body away from the light. Why? Well, first of all, we want to make her thinner, and she's very thin anyway, but we want to make sure she's very thin. We want to make sure that we have detail, light and detail, okay? That's important. Now, again, if you go too far and you're looking towards the camera, we're going to have a shoulder problem here. So we just want to slightly open her body just a little bit. I'm going to finalize this whole shot from the camera. So, but now here's one of the biggest tips. How to get her body to get, and it might feel a little uncomfortable to her, but it's really going to come out nice in the image. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my two fingers, here's Mr. Super Dave, I'm going to take my two fingers, I'm going to apply them to her back here, to her spine, I'm going to lift up a little bit, and now I'm going to push her over the belt buckle, as they say, as Monty used to say. I'm now breaking that beautiful plane, okay? Now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to slightly turn her head into that beautiful highlight side, okay? And now I'm going to go back to Mr. Camera to modify, to clean it up, to make it look really, really good. So come on, we're going to go over to this way here. We're going to go over to the camera. Super Dave, we're going to have you over here for in a second because we're going to get into a 2/3 view in a second. Now, looking at her, Super Dave, why don't you come on over here? Looking right over here, Princess. Good. I'm going to take a quick shot now of her. You're looking absolutely fantastic. Okay, that's going to come up on the screen shortly because the next major problem here is that we want to make sure we have a 2/3 view on her face. Okay, so Dave, I'm going to go over, I'm going to step in front of you, I'm going to go over to this beautiful young lady. So, we're going to now get into tip number 4. We're going to bring in Big Daddy Rabbit. We're going to bring in the man. All right. So what we're going to do, this is really important. I get a lot of emails from this about why is the subject's not tall enough, or what do you do if someone's taller and shorter and all that kind of stuff. Let me address that real quick. I learned this again from Monty. I know in advance, of course, what my client's going to look like the day of the wedding. Now, there's times that I've had 6-foot gentlemen and a 5-foot girl. Now, we cannot get away from photographing them at an altar. It's going to be what you see. You can't change that. But when we get into the 3/4 shots, I do bring a couple of posing stools. That makes it all work. Now, what I'm going to share with you today, and this tip number 4, is when they sit down. I'm going to bring in Big Daddy Hannah. Come on in here. Let me get this chair for you. Okay. Okay. What we're going to do, let me bring this down just a little bit. Okay, we're going to have you guys sit nice and close to each other. Hannah, you look good too.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Okay, nice and close to each other. Put your arm inside Hanson there you go. Get nice and close. Okay, now, this is probably one of the biggest problems with a couple of reasons. One is they're too square to the camera. Big problem. What we're going to do in tip number 5, okay, we got arms happening. I call this football shoulder. They're square to the camera. Here's the camera, they're square to the camera. We cannot have this ever. In fact, I'll even talk about when you have full-size brides or full-size couple, it's important that you even move out the stools a little bit, then open their shoulders, and then bring them together. That's going to eliminate that problem for you. But let's go ahead and deal with this problem here. We got not good shoulders happening here. So what I'm going to do, I got to tell you, this next shot is definitely the one that people just love. And it's how to get that beautiful ring shot. How to get the hands perfect. Super Dave's going to come in when we get this all together for you. But I know this is like the most asked that I ever do. So what we're going to start off with first is we're going to come over here. Now, the most important thing is, Super Dave, you get nice and close. I gotta loosen her up a little bit. She's still fighting me just a little bit. So I'm putting a little pressure on her arthritic knuckle, okay? That's making it all kind of do, and say, wave to Dave, see? There you go. So we're going to make it nice and soft. Now, what we're trying to do is we're going to now bring the hands, I'm going to bring my hands inside here, and I'm going to now apply a little bit of softness here. And now look at the direction I just created. Beautiful, beautiful leading lines. Beautiful S shapes. It's just coming together really, really nice. If this was a bride, I would just basically have the flowers in this hand, opening this up here, and having the flowers as my background. Beautiful. Now, as I'm talking to her, she's losing a little bit of the pose. So I basically will just go in and just bring this down just a little bit. I want S shapes, okay? Now what we're going to do is we're going to add Big Daddy Rabbit's hand, okay? We're going to add that masculine hand to this feminine hand to make this all look beautiful. So what we're going to do is I'm going to have you come right in here. I'm going to take Hannah's hand. He's got a big masculine hand, but I still want it to be coming nice and soft. We're just going to apply the thing right about here, just enough. And by the way, we're used to seeing the rings. We don't have any rings because they're not a couple, but you can imagine the rings are here. Now, we're going to lower your hand here, okay? And I'm going to go back and pose her hands one more time. We want those fingers to come in just nice and soft. There, just nice. We want that beautiful S shape. Another tip, guys, if this is a wedding, okay? You have to make sure if you're doing this shot, and by the way, this is probably one of the biggest shots because what you can do with this is, what you do with this later is amazing. But make sure if this is a wedding shot, you want to make sure that you have that white shirt coming out. You want skin, white, and black. You want separation to make this shot work. And again, if this was a bride, we'd have the flowers here and beautiful, beautiful shot. And I would shoot.